Okay, we are recording. Well, welcome to Digital Imaging, everyone. I'm Professor Deb Cricken. You probably and hopefully have seen the videos thus far for this semester. So it takes a while to get started simply because you're downloading software such as Adobe. So please, I hope you have emailed me if you are having any troubles in downloading the software, number one. Number two, be sure that you've been able to launch Photoshop. And that's what this video is going to be today. Every week, I will be recording the review of what you have done on the discussion board by going to your links. And it's important to give me the direct link, as I'll speak about on a couple of times. You give me a little indirect link, but it's best to always give me the URL link right to the page that is the assignment. So we're going to be talking about the print assignment. We're going to go over a few things. But most important, please be sure to email me if you have any questions about the assignment, about the software, or if you are not reaching your creative or technical goal. It's important to reach out to me so that we can troubleshoot. I try to do it in an email, but if I can't, we set up a Zoom, or I may do a recording to show you how to do it so that everybody can benefit from your questions. So an asynchronous class is very difficult to make everyone feel like a community. But this is one way that I'm going to try to do that, which is to share our discussion board and talk about your work. So let's get started, okay? So I'm going to share my screen. And here we go. And right now I am in Blackboard. Okay, so as you can see, I'm in Blackboard and this should be recording for you. And here we have our digital imaging weeks that will give me the link to your WordPress and so forth. And it's critically important for you to know that the way that I can see your progress is on your WordPress. And that is why every student I have had for over 15 years now have put the work to their portfolio, which is called WordPress, as we like to say, which is important. WordPress is a content management system that you will begin to understand as you take web design classes and other classes for the iTech program. So this is the way the majority of people work in the professional field that they may be in. And quite honestly, it's very diverse. People who utilize Photoshop, people who use digital media. Every industry needs the skills that you are learning in this class, as well as the other classes that iTech offers. So let's just jump right to our one for today, where everybody, it's February the 5th, everybody is submitting their concept for the hyper-realism. And so I'm going to walk you through what's that experience going to be like and some important points to take forward as we move into our hyper-realism. So number one, let's start with Penny. So Penny, thank you for posting. And here I am. And after this video, I will be making the comments, but I'm doing it right now in this video, but I will give you a text comment. So let's take a look at Penny's concepts. There is a multiverse. Nice way to start the page. Always important when you take your digital marketing class to have a hook in all your titles. You want people to stay engaged with your portfolio so that they really value what your content is. And when they value your content, then they value you as a potential team player. So this looks great. These are really interesting photographs. They may be from NASA, which is really awesome. And here's the types of multiverses that you're doing. And there are the doubters. Don't we know all about that, right? And I'm going to make this a little bigger for our video. So let's do that. Getting our points across. And of course, right here is a little Photoshop. I don't know if you can make a question mark typing, but that would be someone who would take it into Photoshop and flip that. What are our arguments in the verse, fun facts, and so forth, and what the parallel universes are. which is really nice. So now I'm going to be going back and perusing this to see the sustainable concept that she wants to do. So concepts are very important to understand where they are. So this is excellent that you have commented on this, but I'm going to go back to, actually I can stay in here and I'll just get to your pages. Let's see here. So I don't have your pages yet, Penny. So you've given me the print, but I don't see the pages here. So that means you need to go into WordPress and under Appearance and Menu, and I will show that to you right now. So if your pages are not visible, you need to go into WordPress. And let me just log in here. And this way, in order for your pages to be public viewing, so remember, when you're in WordPress and you hit the menu here, what you want to be sure is that you can see when it says visit site. So let me just go back to my site here. And there should be a visit site so you can see the public. There it is. There's that lovely pink button. And this is important for you to know. So when you're in WordPress, as we call ourselves a web developer, what you see when you're editing is not what the public sees. And it's great that you got the link from the permalink, which is on the page, but visit site shows you the links. So all of these menus are my pages. So because I don't see that, Penny, you really need to come down to here, over here, under Appearance, under Menus. Where's Menus? Menus right here, under Menus. Remember, your navigational bar, or your buttons, or your links, or your pages is called a menu. That's another terminology that is used. Navigational bar, menu, links, buttons. But now in most dashboards, menu means your navigational bar. So we'll click that. And then what you want to do is you want to add that page, whatever page you want to add. You add that, and then it becomes visible as it is here. And if you move these over to the right, it makes it a submenu. So that would be something, Penny. Try to do that, and I will make note of that again in your Blackboard. But definitely be sure to make sure that your page is public. So let's go back to your page so that this way I can see this. Now you've given this to me via Blackboard, and so that link is the multiverse. And you say Benny 2020. So that is your site. And you want to be sure that it says print, not multiverse. Multiverse may be your concept, but you want to be sure to stay organized and to put it under print. Print is where your concepts are going to go. Okay, great. So let's, let me zoom out of this so we can see more. Let's go to the discussion board and let's go down to Katrina's. So I'll hit Katrina, and you can see here, Penny, you see how Katrina has her WordPress, and then she has a page called print. And then on that page, what she's done is a drop down so that we can see all the pages. And this keeps us organized so that when visitors come to your site, they too can find the work that they're looking for. So digital imaging, and you can make the submenus as they are. So we'll go down to print, which is here we have the concept. So concept 1, concept 2, concept 3 looks all good. I do like also the gallery that WordPress gives us so we can have the slideshow. Now these two things here are, like this is an excellent sort of hyper-realism context, but we're going to go further and make it be photographic. So you could actually take two heads of children and give a faint illusion of blue sky, night sky, and so forth. This is very hyperrealism, but it's very illustrated, which is fine. So this is something, as long as your digital illustration is strongly hyperrealism or photorealism, as they would say in the 60s. And this is what we call, this style of design here is what we would call almost like a collage. Well, first of all, it would be a typography, a type illustration. This is called a type illustration, which is great for the meaningfulness of it. And so whatever the concept is that you have, this is really where you're going in the direction that I want you to go in. And so however you bring up, such as I see here, however you bring up your hyperrealism is really the exciting statement that you're going to be making, and a unique statement. So that's the comments that we want to say for today, is how do we get started? And that's what this video is about. So the important thing for this week is that you're going to be sketching your composition. And I know, Lester, for your composition, you are, I kind of like your unplugged one, the one that you have here. So on Lester's concept, this one is the one I like, Lester, because this looks very much like yours. This one looks a little too much like this. So in a portfolio, you don't want to get it too close to the actual hyperrealist concept. You kind of want to find things that have the photographs like you have here, like you have there, that have nothing to do with someone else's concept. And so this one here really looks like your original concept of what you're bringing in. So that's why for what I'm going to be doing, which is with this organization, I'm going to be thinking about a polar bear floating down an iceberg as he moves through New York City. So ultimately, the important thing to remember about our poster is that it must look photographic. You do not want it to look like an illustration. An illustration is somebody who has created it by hand, whether it be traditional or with digital tools. We are trying to make it look very photographic, as if we were walking in these woods and we climbed over a hill and we saw this, it would be reality as far as we were concerned. And that, as you know from Eric Johansson's beautiful work, which I believe this is his, is where we're going with this task. Now, why are we doing this assignment in a digital imaging class to be the first? Well, because after many decades of teaching digital imaging with Photoshop, hyperrealism helps you to, number one, do photo retouching and photo reconstruction. So photo reconstruction is exactly what this image has. It has taken multiple images and have merged them together so that it looks real. And in most cases, in most Photoshop opportunities, that is what they want you to do. They want you to touch up photos. They want you to blend photos and all of the above. And so the second assignment will be getting into web design. That's the other big need one can offer knowing Photoshop is web design. So that's why the second assignment will be web oriented. And then of course our time-based, which is the best and the most fun assignment of them all. And so I'm going to be gathering my pictures. And so what's important is I'm going to Google New York City landscape. So I come up here and I'm going to say New York City in New York. Yes. And I'm going to do images. Now, here's what's important to remember. From your sketch, which I'm making comments on for next week, you do tend to realize that the hard work is actually the very beginning. the work afterwards is not, is really how well you know your tools. And that will be a challenge because you're new to Photoshop, but that's why we're taking this step by step. And all my videos are in real time. I don't do any fancy editing. It's as if we were in a classroom. And I like to keep it that way because then you can stop and start it and listen to the things I have to say. So I'm sort of looking at a way that I can see an image where I can place my polar bear coming into New York City. So I'm looking as if you were looking in real time. And I'm beginning to see something where I can see something that feels like I can place, which is what I visioned in my mind and have done a sketch like what Kathleen has done. And so I'm bringing in, finding ways to see how I can get the feel of New York City. Now, what's important to remember in this process is look at my size. My size is only 750, 563. That's not very big. You've got to be very careful about that because we want our resolution to be good, and that's what I will show you when we get to the next step I want to show. So on here, let's come all the way up to the top where we were before. And up here, you want to see more. And tools. Tools is a key right here. And then you want to see size right here. And you want large. Now that will give you much better resolution. So let me show you. See, I roll over this now. Now you can see how I'm 2000, much better resolution. Because we're going to be putting this on a 13 by 19 deliverable for print. And we want high resolution. And we'll talk about resolution when we get into Photoshop. But that is the important step, as I just commented. Tools, large, roll over, check your point size. So now I'm happy with this. And I'm actually kind of thinking of a King Kong concept. And a lot of times I develop my concepts based upon what I can find. So there might be some alterations, and this is when you have iterations, which are good. But I'm thinking of possibly bringing my polar bear floating down the river, and I don't have much of the river here. So I might have to rebuild that in Photoshop to give me more of the river. I don't know what it looks like over there, and I don't think everybody does. So I can kind of fake it. This is a hyper-realism. Reality is not real. But I'm going to click this right now. And I'm going to see if I can get that resolution. Now, sometimes you don't always get that resolution. So I'm going to go right-click, Save Image. And this is when I'm going to change the title. Just go to 1, and I'll keep it in my folder. And then I'm going to go back to Google, and then I'm going to right-click this one, Save Image, because sometimes you get different resolutions from the ones that you click or the ones that you hover and roll over right there. And so you do have to be careful. So here's another one. Let's go to this one. Go back again. Come here. Oops, don't want that. Want this one. And so now I've got definitely some points of view going down. Here's another one here. And this one, let's roll over. Looks good. I'm going to hover, save image. Again, file naming is very important, and keeping your file name so that all the prefixes have them together, so that when you're looking at them in your Finder, they sit next together. Okay, so now let's go up and let's find a polar bear. So what's important to know here, again, tools, again, size, and again, large. And I'm kind of, I'm not sure of the perspective yet on the polar bear. As far as being big, small, sitting, that I would have to find, and this is where you spend most of your time trying to find that polar bear that you so want to have, is to go to the library on our college website, come down to the Harold Library icon, click that, come up here to research, click research guides. Under interactive technology, right here, I have it for the two classes, digital imaging and digital design. Now here are lots of really good resources. So I'm very fortunate to have a phenomenal team at the library. Librarians are phenomenal resources. One of my favorite pastimes is to go to my local library and kind of hang out, literally hang out at my public library. It's nice and quiet. They got fun things to read. You can search online and so forth. But the important thing is use Creative Commons to find images. So, or even search for images here. So they give you lots of good resources. So Wikimedia Commons is one of my favorite right here. And we will talk about copyright usage on another video. So keep that in mind. That will be one of our videos that we, without a doubt, talk. So right up here, I want to do a search and see what comes up. Polar bears. And on here, you can sometimes get really, really good. Wow, I love this one. Look at this. Look, and it's 2000. This is good. I kind of like this as if it was arching over New York City. So I like that. Let's see if I can get our download here. And it looks like the original file, right? And there it is. And I'm going to save this image. Polar bear. And come back out of here. So you will definitely find some really good polar bear. And let's do an iceberg. It's one word. And find a really good iceberg. Ah, this looks pretty good. More details. Oh, 5,000. Oh, that's perfect. Original file. Right click. Remember that right click. Save image. Iceberg. Here we go. Okay. And just to show you what it was, you know, what my resources were for New York City. New York City Harbor should give me some good shots. Coming in, or let's just do New York City. Actually, you got it. Sometimes you do have New York City on the Hudson. And, you know, these are all interesting. All of these photographs come from people. It doesn't come from Getty Images. It literally comes from people who are traveling, visiting New York City. Let's do Brooklyn. Manhattan. So your search words are always important. And yes, sometimes the pretty pictures, but this is kind of nice. Interesting how I could certainly have that polar bear reach over. And again, lots of interesting possibilities here. But let me get started. And let's see, 14,000. Wow. That's going to be really good resolution. No question about that. Yeah. So let's right click on that. See what we get. New York City 2. Okay, we have enough for our video today. So the important thing here is after your sketch, which is what we'll sign off for next week, you're going to start collecting photographs from Google, from the public domain sites that I gave you. Make sure you have a large size, which is bigger than 1,000 pixels. That's important to remember that. You're going to make composites of photographs to make your image become realized by your sketch, by your concepts, and so forth. And that's where we are today. And that's how you would be bringing it in. And I will come back to this video again next week. So we go a little bit further with more photographs. I'll bring in that polar bear and the iceberg, but that's my concept. My concept is a polar bear coming down the river, nice and big like King Kong, going, is anybody paying attention to what's going on around the world? And that's the value of your sustainable poster. So let me unshare and wave goodbye. Have a good week, everyone. Stay safe.